16. Can you give me some information? What would you like to know? Well, I've been to Los Angeles many times, and I've seen our famous site. I'd like to see something different. You've been to Harvard? Yes, and some of the movie stars. You've been to Disneyland? Yes, and there was one near Tokyo, so I don't want to do that again. You've gone shopping gradually. And my wife doesn't need any more designer handbags, shoes, watches. You've been to Universal Studio? Yes, and I've been to Osaka too. You've seen stars of famous actors and actresses. Yes, like I said, I've already seen all the famous sites. Can't you recommend something else? Well, I've lived here all my life, so I don't do much tourist stuff. But I can't tell you what favorite restaurant or museum I'd like. That would be great. Could you write them down for me? Sure. It's nice to meet someone who does something different. Can you give me some information? What would you like to know? Well, I've been to Los Angeles many times, and I've seen famous sites. I'd like to see something different. You've been to Harvard? Yes, and I've performed the movie stars. You've been to Disneyland? Yes, and there was one near Tokyo. I don't want to do that again. You've gone to shopping on the road drive? Said my wife doesn't need any more designer handbags, shoes, or watches. You've been to University Studio? Yes, and I've been to Osaka too. You've seen the stars of famous actors and actresses walk of fame? Like I said, I've already seen the famous sites. Can't you recommend something else? Well, I've lived here all my life, so I don't do much for tourist stuff. But I can tell you about my favorite restaurant, and there are a couple of museums that I like. That would be great. Could you write them down for me? Sure. And it's nice to meet someone who does something different. Can you give me some information? What would you like to know? I've Angeles many times, and I've seen the famous sites. I'd like to see something different. You've been to Harvard? Yeah, and I've seen homes to the movie stars. You've been to Disneyland? Yes, and there was one in Tokyo, so I don't want to do that again. You've gone shopping on a little drive? Oh, and my wife doesn't need any more designer handbags, shoes, or watches. You've been to Universal Studios? Yes, and I've been in Osaka too. You've seen the stars of famous actors and actresses on film? Yes, like I said, I've already seen all the famous sites. Can't you recommend something else? Well, I've lived here all my life, so I don't do much tourist stuff. But I can tell you about my favorite restaurant, and there are a couple of museums that I like. That would be great. Could you write them down for me? Sure. And it's nice to meet someone who does something different. Can you give me some information? What would you like to know? Well, I've been to Los Angeles many times, and I've seen all the famous sites. I'd like to see something different. You have been to Harvard? Yes, and I. Yes, and Disneyland? Yes, and there was one near Tokyo, though I don't want that again. You have gone shopping on Rodeo Drive? And my. Yes, and. You've been to universities? Yes, and I've been to the one in Osaka too. You've seen the star of famous actors and actresses. Sites. Can't you recommend? But I can tell you about my favorite restaurant and a couple of museum. That would be great. Could you write them down for me? Sure. And it's nice to meet someone who wants to do something different. Can you give me some information? What would you like to know? Well, I've been to Los Angeles many times, and I've seen all the famous sites. I'd like to see something different. You ever been to Hollywood? Yes, and I've seen the homes of movie stars. You ever been to Disneyland? Yes, and there was near Tokyo, so I don't want to do that again. You have gone shopping a lot, did you, right? Yes, and my wife doesn't need any more designer handbags, shoes, or watches. You ever been to Universal Studios? Yes, and I've been to Osaka too. You have seen the star of famous actor and actresses on the Walk of Fame? Yes, like I said, I've already seen all the famous sites. Can't you recommend something else? Well, I've lived here all my life, so I don't do much tourist stuff. You can tell me to my favorite restaurant, and there are a couple of museums that I like. That would be great. Could you write them down for me? Sure. And it's nice to meet someone who wants to do something different. Can you give me some information? What would you like to know? Well, I've been to Los Angeles many times, and I've seen all famous sites. I'd like to see something different. You've been to Hollywood? Yes, and I've seen the homes of movie stars. You've been to Disneyland? Yes, and there was near Tokyo. I don't want to do that again. You've gone shopping on the rodeo drive? Yeah, and my wife doesn't need any more designers, handbags, shoes, or watches. You've been to Universal Studios? Yes, and I've been to Osaka too. You've seen stars of famous actors and actresses of the Walk of Fame? Yes, like I said, I've already seen all the famous sites. Can't you recommend something else? Well, I've lived here all my life, so I don't do much tourist stuff. But I can tell you about my favorite restaurant, and there are a couple of museums that I like. That would be great. Could you write them down for me? Sure. And it's nice to meet someone who does something different. Can you give me some information? What would you like to know? Well, I've been to Los Angeles many times, and I've seen all famous sites. I'd like to see something different. You've been to Hollywood? Yes, and I've seen the homes of movie stars. You've been to Disneyland? Yes, there are the ones near Tokyo, so I don't want to do that again. You've gone shopping on the rodeo, right? And my wife doesn't need any more designers, handbags, and shoes or watches. You've been to Universal Studios? Yes, and I've been to Osaka too. You've seen stars of famous actors and actresses Walk of Fame? Yes, and like I said, I've already seen all the famous sites. Can't you recommend something else? Well, I've lived here all my life, so I don't do much tourist stuff. But I can tell you about the favorite restaurants, and there are a couple of museums that I like. That would be great. Could you write them down for me? So something different. Can you give me some information? What would you like to know? Well, I've been to Los Angeles many times, and I've seen all famous sites. I'd like to see something different. You've been to Hollywood? Yes, and I've seen homes of movie stars. You've been to Disneyland? Yes, and there was near Tokyo, so I don't want to do that again. We've gone shopping on Rodeo Drive. Yes, and my wife doesn't need any more designer handbags, shoes, or watches. You've been to Universal Studios? Yes, and I've been to one of Osaka too. You've seen the stars of famous actors and actresses of Walk of Fame? Yes, like I said, I've already seen all the famous sites. Can't you recommend something else? Well, I've lived here all my life, so I don't do much tourist stuff. But I can tell you about my favorite restaurant and a couple of museums that I like. That would be great. Could you write them down for me? Sure. And it's nice to want to start something different. Can you give me some information? What would you like to know? Well, I've been to Los Angeles many times, and I've seen all the famous sites. I'd like to see something different. You've been to Hollywood? Yes, and I've seen the home of movie stars. You've been to Disneyland? Yes, and there was one near Tokyo, so I don't want to do that again. You've been gone shopping on Rodeo Drive? Yes, and my wife does not need any more designer handbags, shoes, or watches. You've been to Investor Studio? Yes, and I've been to one of those Osaka too. You've seen stars of famous actors and actresses on the Walk of Fame? Yes, yes. Like I said, I already seen the other websites. Can't you recommend something else? Well, I've lived here all my life, so I don't do much tourist stuff. But I can tell how about the favorite restaurants, and there are a couple of museums that I like. That would be great. Could you write them down for me? Yeah, sure. And it's nice to meet someone who wants to do something different. (17) Athens is the largest city in Greece. It has a history more than 3,000 years, which makes sense of the oldest cities. Athens is very powerful. It was a sensitive to art, learning, and science, and was home to many important tourist politicians. Democracy was also born in Athens. Many buildings and works of that still survive in the city today. The most famous one is the Parthenon of the Corporate. Parthenon is a temple with the symbol of a Greek god. It was filled with many beautiful statues, some of them others with museums around the world. There were also many more beautiful buildings and several palaces. The depths of modern Olympic Games held in the end of the 19th century. After the Second World War, Athens' population grew very fast. That the air was factories and too many vehicles became serious problems. The government built a new road that around the city and made some system much bigger. Now the quality of the environment is much better. The climate is mild, but the city gets quite warm in summer, so best if the city spring or fall. The city new bottom boat and many high-quality hotels. People interested in the college enjoyed very much as it has many musical. Sports also very popular and this Olympic statue which was built for the 2004 Olympic Games. Many people think it's the most beautiful stadium in the world. The city is surrounded by mountains, so it was very nice places for walking and climbing. There are several lots of markets. Out of the coffee restaurants serve delicious good food like salads with goats, roast meat, fresh seafood, and many types of fresh bread, sauce, olive, fish eggs, or delicious garlic in your sauce. It's both of the business and just about wonderful food. Athens is the capital and the largest city in Greece. It has a history of more than 3,000 years, which makes it one of the old cities. It was very powerful. It was a center of art, learning, and science, and was home to important politicians. Democracy was also born in Athens. Many buildings and works still survive in the city today. The most famous one is the Parthenon and the Corpus. Parthenon is a temple built as a similar Greek It was filled with many beautiful statues. Some of them were still there. Others were in the museum around the world. Also, many modern beautiful buildings and several palaces in Athens. The first modern Olympic game held in Athens at the end of the 19th century. After the Second World War, Athens' population grew very fast. That air caused by factoring too many vehicles became a serious problem. The government built a new road around the city and made some way system much bigger. Now the quality of the environment is much better. Climate is mild, but the city gets quite hot summer, so best of spring or fall. The city has a new very modern airport and many high-quality hotels. People interested in culture enjoy this very much as its many sales and musicals. Sports also very popular, and is home to the Olympic Stadium, which was built for the 2004 Olympic Games. Many people think it's the most beautiful stadium in the world. The city is surrounded by mountains, which are very nice places for walking and climbing. There are several outdoor markets. Outdoor cafes, restaurants sell delicious Greek food like salads with goat cheese and roast meat, fresh seafood, and many types of fresh bread soup, fish eggs, or delicious garlic in the yogurt sauce. It's possible to visit Athens just for the wonderful food. Athens is the capital of southern Greece, which has history of more than 3,000 years, which makes it one of Athens is once very powerful. It was a center of the running and were home to many important religious politicians. Democracy was also born in Athens. Many buildings were suburb. Was the famous one is the Parthenon and Parthenon, the temple built the same as it was built with many beautiful statues. Some of them still there, others are in the museum around the world. There are also many modern beautiful buildings and several palaces in Athens. The first modern Olympic game was held in Athens at the end of the 19th century. After the Second World War, Athens' population grew very fast. That year, caused by factoring too many vehicles became serious problems. The government built a new road that around the city and made the subway system much bigger. Now the quality of the environment is much better. Climate is mild, but the city gets quite hot in summer, so it's best to visit it spring fall. The city has a new very modern airport and many high-quality hotels. People interested in culture enjoy very much as its many theater and musical. Sports are also very popular and is home to the Olympic Stadium, which was built for the 2004 Olympic Games. Many people think it's the most beautiful stadium in the world. The city is surrounded by mountains, which are very nice places for walking and climbing. There are several outdoor markets. Outdoor cafes and restaurants serve delicious Greek food like salads with goat cheese, roast meat, fresh seafood, and many types of fresh bread served with olive oil, fish eggs, or delicious garlic yogurt sauce. It was a visit Athens just for the wonderful food. Athens is the capital largest city in Greece. It has a history of more than 3,000 years and makes sense of world's oldest cities. Athens is once very powerful. It was a center of art, learning, and science, and was home to many important religious politicians. Democracy was also born in Athens. Many buildings and works above old are still surviving today. The most famous one is the Parthenon on the Cyprus. The Parthenon is a temple built for a female. It was filled with many beautiful statues. Some of them are still there. Others are in museums around the world. There are also many modern beautiful buildings and several palaces in Athens. The first modern Olympic game held in Athens at the end of the 19th century. After the Second World War, Athens' population grew very fast. That the exposure to many figures became a serious problem. The government built a new road to the surrounding city, a main subway system much bigger. Now the quality of the environment is much better. Climate is mild, but city gets quite warm in summer, so it's best to visit in spring or fall. The city has a new, very modern airport and many high-quality hotels. People interested in culture will enjoy it very much, as many theaters and musical. Sports are also very popular, and is home to the Olympic Stadium, which was built for the 2004 Olympic Games. Many people think it's the most beautiful stadium in the world. The city is surrounded by mountains, which are very nice places for walking and climbing. There are several outdoor markets. It is covered with delicious Greek food like salad with goat cheese and olives, roast meat, fresh seafood, and many types of fresh bread sauce, olive oil, fish eggs, or delicious garlic and yogurt sauce. It's worth visiting Athens just for the wonderful food. Athens is a capital of the largest city in Greece. It has a history of more than 3,000 years, which makes it Athens was once very powerful. It was a sensitive world, learning and science, and was home to many important writers in Portuguese. Democracy was also born in Athens. Many buildings and works survive all of them still survive in the city. The most famous one is the Parthenon and Acropolis. Parthenon was a temple by the which was filled with many beautiful statues. Some of them are still there, others are in museums around the world. There are also many modern beautiful buildings and several palaces in Athens. The first modern Olympic Games were held in Athens in the end of the 19th century. After the Second World War, Athens' population grew very fast. That is caused by factories and too many people became a serious problem. The government built a new road that surrounds the city and made the subway system much bigger. Now the quality of life is much better. The climate is mild, but the city gets quite hot in summer, so it's best to visit the spring or fall. The city has a new very modern airport and many high-quality hotels. People interested in culture will enjoy it very much, as it has many theaters and musical halls. Sports are also very popular in Athens, and it is home to the Olympic Stadium, which was built 2004 Olympic Games. Many people think it is the most beautiful stadium in the world. The city is surrounded by mountains, which are very nice places for walking and climbing. There are several outdoor markets. Outdoor cafes and restaurants serve delicious food like salads with goat cheese and pork, roast meat, fresh seafood, and many types of fresh bread, or fish eggs, or delicious garlic and yellow sauce. It will also visit just for the wonderful food. Athens is a capital of the state in Greece. It has a history of more than 3,000 years, which makes it with all the cities. Athens is once very powerful. It was a center of learning and science, and was home to many important politicians. Democracy was also born in Athens. Many buildings were once still survive in the city today. The most famous one is a personal on the Macropus. Personal is a temple by the female Greek god. It does many beautiful statues. Some of them are still there. Others millions around the world. There are also many modern beautiful buildings and several palaces in the Athens. The South Modern Olympic Games is held in Athens at the end of the 9th century. After the Second World War, I think the population grew very fast. That the years is possible for too many people. It became a serious problem. The government built a new road that surround the city and made the subway system much better. Now the quality of the environment is much better. The climate is mild, but the city gets quite hot in summer, so it's best of visit in spring. The city is new, very modern, and many high-quality hotels. People interested in culture will enjoy it very much, as it finds theaters and musicals. Sports are also very popular, and research fun. The Olympic Games. Many people think it's the most beautiful stadium in the world. The city is surrounded by mountains, which are very nice places for walking and climbing. There are several outdoor markets. Outdoor cafes and restaurants some very delicious Greek food, like salads with gouches and fresh meat, fresh seafood, and many types of fresh bread, so with olive oil, fish eggs, or delicious garlic in the yogurt sauce. It was a visit just for the wonderful food. そうだ。Athens is the capital largest city of Greece. It has a history more than 3,000 years, which makes it the world's oldest city. Athens is once very popular. It was a center of art, learning, and science, and was home to many important politicians. Democracy was also born in Athens. Many buildings and works above orders still survive in the city today. The most famous one is the Parthenon on the Acropolis. Parthenon is a temple built of a female Greek god. It was many beautiful statues. Some of them are still there. Others are visited around the world. There are also many modern beautiful buildings and several palaces in Athens. The first modern Olympic Games was held in Athens at the end of the 19th century. After the Second World War, Athens was very fast. That the egg factories and because of many serious problems. The government built a new road that surrounds the city and makes the system much bigger. Now the quality of the environment is much better. Climate is mild, but the city is quite hot in summer, so it's best to visit spring fruit. The city has a new, very modern airport and many high-quality hotels. But enjoy, I think, very much has many theaters and music. Sports are also popular in and its home stadium, which was built for the 2004 Olympic Games. Many people think it is the most beautiful stadium in the world. The city is surrounded by mountains, which are very nice places for walking and climbing. There are several top markets. Outdoor cafes, restaurants, so delicious Greek food, side salads with cheese and olives, roast meat, fresh seafood, and many types of fresh bread, or fish eggs, or delicious garlic and yogurt sauce. It's worth a visit to Athens just for the wonderful. Athens is the capital and the largest city in Greece. Athens is the capital. Athens is the capital and the largest city in Greece. It has a history of more than 3,000 years, yes, which makes it one of the world old cities. Athens was once very powerful. It was a center for art. It was a center for art, learning, and science. and was home to many important writers and politicians. Democracy was also born in Athens. Many buildings and works of art from old Athens still survive in the city today. The most famous one of the Parthenon on the Acropolis. The Parthenon was a temple built for Athens, 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 for Athens, built for Athens, a female god, Greek god. It was filled with many beautiful statues.